I need my glasses and my book. Welcome, Christina. Good to have you. So nice to see you tonight. Tonight is another night where we get to refuel our love tank. This is what church usually does for people. They have a chance to commune and join once a week and remember the truth together. That's right. So we are kind of like our own little church, but we're not church. We're not church. We're taking love's word interpreted by Jeshua, Jesus. And I'm trying to find my lighter. Got nothing. It's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. This is my love candle lighting. We're pretending tonight because I don't have my lighter. This is the unity candle that starts us off. It's my little symbolic gesture to turn on my light, helping you and those watching now or later in the future light you up. The idea is you have a light inside of you, and it's not bright as bright as it could be. And unless we are lighting up, extending the good, the holy, and the beautiful, then our light's not as full as or as bright as it could be. Curriculums like this help us turn up our light, brighten up our light, help us shine for ourselves first and foremost. Because when we're shining bright, the love is coming through us first. And it most likely is going to bounce off of something out there in the world and reflect back to you or me. And that's what we experience over and over and over again. What's up, Dottie and Kayla? Good to have you, ladies. Hi, Dottie. So, tonight we are in the workbook lessons. I've got a workbook lesson for you. And remember, these workbook lessons are designed to be done in order. That's their design. So when you hear what's in the lesson that we're hearing today, it's number 102 out of 365. Welcome, welcome, Luna. I see you. Welcome. Good to have you here tonight. Video is totally optional. You can totally stay no video, just listening in the background. People choose what's comfortable for them. I record these, so choose what's comfortable for you.
Hi, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, good to have you.
I was going to put my picture, but I saw you were recording. I was going to open my camera, and I said, nope, not for me.
Not for you. That's totally okay. I'm so glad you're honoring yourself, and it's great. It's perfect. Video not required.
I do it sometime, but not today.
I support that 111%. So welcome, Luna. You have found yourself in a unique classroom. It is a classroom not like one of the world, where in the world we use our minds to think and analyze, and we sometimes synthesize, judge, assess, right? That's what we do in classrooms. But this isn't actually a classroom, and it is not church. Some of the words sound church-like. It's not church. It's all about love. It's about love and fear and being able to tell the difference between the two. It's so good to see you, Kayla. And that little cute puppy Duppers. She's looking so spry tonight. Hi, Roxy. We love our mighty companion fur babies, don't we? So I hope maybe you have something to sip on. Like I have hot lemon water tonight. That's what I'm feeling like tonight. You could have something to keep you awake because a lot of this material, as I share, makes a part of you want to go to sleep. And that's okay. That means you are hearing it because this material is talking about love so grand, God level love, that the limited part of ourselves, the most small version of ourselves and afraid version of ourselves can't hear it. It actually falls asleep. Yawning is a sign that you're paying attention. So I welcome yawning. Also, freedom in this classroom is first and foremost, so I free you. I want you to do this class, be here in the way that feels good to you. And if it's not the right class for you, you're innocent to dismiss yourself with no explanation needed. It's okay. We are here just to love you and see you how you are right here, right now, and share a little bit of love with you by way of wisdom from love itself. Love itself, not my wisdom. I'm not sharing my wisdom. I wish I could remember this. I wish this was my immediate and natural reaction to everything, is a loving thought, which it's not yet. I have a lot of afraid thoughts still. And life is full of fearful things, scary things that we make ourselves lose peace around. And here we are hearing the truth about who we really are, what we really deserve, how loved we really truly are, and kind of how to apply it in real life. So I say this every class, the guidelines to this course, to getting the most benefit, are 3 simple guidelines. Not easy, but simple. Number 1, you don't have to believe all of the ideas. We're just here to hear them. Number 2, don't judge or analyze the ideas. Not that kind of class. I've been fighting a little. I thought we'd be good with some hot lemon water, but we're getting a little throat chakra resistance. So pardon me. Must mean I've got a good message tonight, which I do. Woo-wee. Pardon me, guys. We're talking about something so loving and so powerful. My ego's disrupting. Doesn't want me to share. Thank you. I got water. Holy Spirit coming in strong for me. There are 3 guidelines. First one, I'll review. You don't have to believe it. You're so free. You don't have to believe anything you don't want to. Number 2, don't judge and analyze. We're here to hear something, play with the idea, but not judge, not analyze, just hear it. And number 3, the hardest one, apply the ideas so we can see that they're true, because until we apply, we won't know, feel, hear, see, taste, and experience the truth. Not from reading it. Definitely not from reading it. So tonight is a really, really, really deep class. Hi, Maggie. I'm so glad you're here. So glad to see you, mighty companion, Maggie. All you've missed is me choking on my own self. We're on lesson 102 in the workbook lessons. So if you've never heard of A Course in Miracles, or you don't do the workbook lessons, which if you're just hearing it for the first time tonight, of course not. So don't think you should already be able to do all of this. I am cold as well, Maggie, and I'm wearing my PJs too. I'm super glad you're comfy. And I say we might as well plan it before it gets too warm. We need a pajama party, Sunday miracle pajama party, where we're already in our jammies. I approve. But yeah, so we're on 102, which means we haven't done 101 of the other lessons. So we're not going to be achieved to the level, and we're not necessarily being asked to do the exercises as it explains. But the cool thing is we're hearing it for a first time and hearing, what is a lesson? What does that look like? What does undoing fear completely from my mind look like, with the help of love, the shortcut of love? So you don't have to have a book to follow along. I'm going to read straight from the book, and then I'm going to pause. We're going to open it up for questions and comments. This one's really deep, so we're going to have to hear it a couple times because it's so deep, so simple, we were going to fall asleep or not hear it. I share God's will for happiness for me. In other words, the lesson is, I share love's will for happiness for me. This is saying, Carolyn, you do not want to suffer. And Luna knows. You don't want to suffer, mighty companions. You might think, hear this, you might think that suffering buys you something. And you might still believe a little bit that it buys you what you want. We don't really want to suffer, but we might think suffering gets us something. And there's a part of us that truly thinks suffering gets me what I want, potentially. Yet, this belief is surely shaken by now in the sequence of workbook lessons that have been presented, is what it's referring to. But it says, by now, by lesson 102, your belief, what? That suffering gets you something, that belief is shaken now. Now you know at least enough to let you question it and suspect suffering really makes no sense. Take a nice big deep breath if you want to, and wiggle around a little bit, because that helps keep you less serious. You don't want to get too serious about this. We don't really want to suffer, but part of us thinks that when we suffer, it's going to get me something. If I suffer, I believe a little that it buys me what I want. Yet this belief is shaken now, at least enough that I question it. I suspect that my belief that suffering gets me what I want, it really doesn't make any sense. It's not gone yet, but this belief that suffering gets me something, it lacks roots that once secured it tightly to the dark hidden places of my mind. Good job, guys. We heard it. You don't have to believe it. This is just a different way of seeing how we are operating in the world. This has the nerve to say, I choose to suffer because I think it's going to get me something. It acknowledges pain is real. Things hurt. Things begin and end in this particular space-time continuum we call the planet Earth, where we drop down and in this shared perception, we think that suffering buys us something. It even might get us what we want. But it's here in this way of thinking and undoing the fear and owning our love and our truth that those roots that are dug in, secured tightly to the dark hidden spaces of the mind, we're pulling those out. We don't want them. Today, mighty companions, we're going to try to loosen the weakened hold still further. Are you with me? Who's with me? Who's with me? Yeah, Dottie's with me. Yes, yes, yes. And realize that pain is purposeless. All right, now we get Dottie. Are you still with me? All right, all right. Yeah, that's usually where we lose people. It's like today we want to loosen that hold of fear. We don't want that fear to be held in our minds, but we have to realize pain is purposeless. That's the harder part because we're pretty sure pain is real and has a purpose. And what does that mean? It says, without a cause, pain, and with no power to accomplish anything. Realize pain is purposeless without cause and with no power to accomplish anything. That's a different way of seeing looking at pain. Pain can't purchase anything at all. Pain doesn't get you anything at all. It offers nothing and does not exist. Everything you think it offers you is lacking in existence like itself. Everything you think pain offers you is lacking in existence, like pain itself. You, in truth, have been slave to nothing, Carolyn. Be you free today to join the happy, loving will of our Creator. This is saying in a workbook lesson style format, several days we're supposed to continue to devote practice periods where to exercise planned these we're talking about each of these lessons creates a period where we devote our practice to exercises that plan to help us reach the happiness that we are seeking. The happiness that love God, the creator of all things good, wants you to have. That is your home. That is where you are safe. In God's will, which is your happiness, that is where you are home, and that is where you are safe. That's peace. And there is no fear in happiness. Herein lies salvation. That's healing. And this practice period suggests you say something like this, which this is an example, guys. You don't have to worry about it. This is a taste of what the Course wants you to say. I share love's will for happiness for me, and I accept it as my function now. And it wants me to say that for 5 minutes. I share God's will for happiness for me, and I accept it as my function now. It says, then seek this happiness function that's deep within your mind, because it's there waiting for you, but you have to choose to go there. It's your choice. You can't fail to find it when you learn it's your choice. And you share God's will. Pause. I feel like we are doing really well. I feel it penetrating into my garden mind. I don't really know exactly what I'm hearing exactly, but it sounds good. What do you guys have? Do you have any questions, any comments yet? What are we hearing? Anybody yet? No, not yet. Oh, Dottie's.
Of course. Well, yeah, it's a reminder that we have a choice, but we have to choose. It's sort of like we have to choose it. It's there. And for us to see it, we have to choose it, to see it or experience it, I guess. Yeah. That's what I hear. Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just heard that one too. Like, I really hear that. It says, this function, and isn't this interesting? It's saying God's will for us is perfect happiness. So if we're not happy, perfectly happy, then we're not living the life God intended us to live. The ego, our fearful little separate mind, wants us to hear this message and say, God's will? Ugh, that sounds horrible. That means I have to give up something like my identity, or I have to give up my specialness, which is not the case at all.
Well, also, I was just thinking, it's like it's not talking about the feelings, but yeah, my small self just, it manipulates me with feelings, and feelings are not good or bad. They're to help us, to guide us, but we hang on to them. And that's when we suffer. Instead of just saying, oh, that's how I feel right now, but it's not going to last forever. It's just how I feel right now, and let it go. We like hang on to it, and I feel like it's that part is a real important part here. I mean, I think they're trying to make it, or God's trying to make it simple for us, that it's, I want to make sure I get through to you that you always have the choice to be happy. But I know me as a human, these feelings come, and I'm learning to acknowledge them first, because that's the other thing we do, is we try to ignore them. and be happy. I guess that's why I'm bringing this up, because I don't want to go there. It's not that I just go choose happiness, because I know I still got to acknowledge the feelings that aren't, necessarily happy, but they're going to come, just like fear is going to come. Those things are going to come, and I've got to remind myself, yeah, I can choose happiness, but I've got to let go of the fear. I've got to let go of that feeling that I was feeling, that, yeah, this is how I feel right now. I acknowledge it and let that go too. So anyway, that's my spiel.
I love it.
Uh,
You're so good. And yes, that's a huge part of it. Dottie is really hearing that angle, and she needs to hear that angle. She's hearing it specifically at the level and the pace that feels perfect for her awakening. It's not scaring her at this point. Like right now, she's feeling good because it's coming at her at a pace in a way that she's like saying, "Oh, well, that sounds like good news, actually. That means I can choose it." And it doesn't mean that's what I always feel, but it means that I can choose it. And that is true. And it also, this lesson is saying, when we have those erroneous feelings, even though they're not even aligned, they're real for us and we have to feel them, but they're a messenger saying, well, if you're not feeling good feelings, then you're not living your purpose and highest function, and that is your happiness. So where can you be more happy? And it's not like somebody else is holding on to your happiness. That's not actually yours. If you think it's out there, that's not your happiness. Your happiness is in here. God wants to put it close and reachable, accessible to us. That's a loving God would be like. You do not need to do all the things. You need to listen to the loving voice that I have placed within you. And we've never been separate, little one, little mini Carolyn, in the likeness of the Creator, just like Dottie and Kayla and Luna and Maggie and Christina we are all little creators. And some of us are using all of our power to create unhappiness. Some of us are using our power to create happiness. And we take turns. And we're not consistent for a whole lifetime ever. We're not even consistent for a whole day, nor a week. So happiness is that's the will of love for me. And if I'm not feeling happy, that just means I'm off track. I just need to find out, where am I ignoring my needs? Where do I need love to grace this and lovingly correct it for me? All right. I'm going to just finish this one up, and then we're probably going to hit it a couple more times. Hearing it again and again helps us remember. It says, seek this function of happiness. Your true happiness is deep within your mind. Seek it there, because that is where it is, awaiting you and your choice to go find it. You can't fail, Carolyn, to find it when you learn it's your choice. And you learn that you share God's will. Remember at the beginning, I'm like, you don't have to believe it. Don't have to believe it. Some of it's hard to believe. It's like, how could I be this miserable if I share God's will? It's because I'm not listening to that voice. I'm listening to the fearful voice. Yeah. Christina has a good comment. She's sharing, some have trouble letting go of pain. Can't stop blaming ourselves for not intentionally hurting someone else. Hard to be happy again. So how might this relate to what you're saying, Christina? It's saying that if it's hard for you to be happy again, you're still playing in some fearful thoughts, not stepping into the doorway of joy that God has for you. And you get to choose when you're ready. But not being happy means you're not living the life God wants you to be living right now. So it's okay. It's okay to feel like it's hard. This is hard to be happy again. And I hope I can be proven wrong by love, because my experience keeps showing me, and I feel, and so I'm believing that it's hard. But that belief that it's hard starts sending out ripples into the world, and then hard things start rippling back to you. So at your own pace, you can choose, because you're in pain and you're suffering. I would say maybe I am guessing, I can't speak for you, but perhaps you feel a lot of pain and suffering right now. And it says somewhere deep down inside you, you think that this suffering and this pain will get you what you want. But that is not true. That is a trick of your ego to keep you small and separate and afraid. And if you feel upset and in pain and suffering and afraid, you're still feeling the vibrations and the ripples of fearful thoughts coming back. You cannot change the outside world to make that peace come back. You have to bring the peace through your mind and let it ripple back out so that its peace can come back to you. So I commend you for being here and hearing this. And you can hear this and not believe it, or actually resist some of it. And that's still good. That's still good. If it brings up some resistance in you, it makes me feel like you're probably hearing it, because an ego, a fearful, small, separate self, doesn't want healed. It wants to be right. And so there's a higher part of you bringing you here over and over and over again. Not your ego. Your ego doesn't want you here. None of our egos want us here. And I feel that every once in a while. I'm just like, dang, why do I even teach this class? What am I even doing? I am sitting there talking about nothing. And I think it's a big deal. And look at the measly trickle of effect I'm having. Okay, ego, that's cool. I guess that's what I really, that's what my ego, small self, thinks about this. It thinks it's not doing anything. It thinks it's meaningless. But my loving right mind keeps showing up. Something's overriding that. I am putting myself out in public, and it feels very vulnerable to talk about these things that are so controversial. Like, you are powerful. You are creating your experience. You have infinite choice on how to operate, maneuver, choose throughout this. Everything that happens, you get to choose. And I'm here saying you ought to choose love with me. And you don't have to, but I'm telling you, I've chose fear for a very long time and it sucks. And once I got out of it, it's my duty to help others get out of it. And I'm not saying I'm completely out for good. If something happens to me and like my arm gets decapitated, or that's not a word, but yeah, my arm gets chopped off, I'm going to have a whole new lesson. That's like, what is my life without my arm? And I might not be thinking real clearly about that. And you guys would be showing up to remind me that it's not about my body. Who cares about your arm, Carolyn? So just trust you're here on purpose. Trust there's not an accident. Trust you can't find this weird of people, this weird of material by accident. You're equally vibrating to this weird material. So you're especially perfectly weird too. Like, we deserve to hear this. And deep, deep down, the love is so, so strong, so palpable. We know it's true, even though our experience still feels painful, sometimes separate, sometimes lacking. And in a loving correction, which is all we're talking about, miracles are loving corrections. They're used here in the mind. I'm going to use my mind to switch from fear to love. And if I don't know how to do that, I'm going to ask love to do it for me, as in God love. And if the G word gets y'all riled up and nervous, use a word that doesn't scare you. Universe, source, light, love. Yeah,
I was just
Dottie.
thinking, was it the Way of Mastery class? We talked about unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
That class. Yeah, that's coming up. That it should be unconditional love is what we're talking about. And in unconditional love, there's no judging. And that's where I always get, especially when I'm hard on myself, is that I don't give myself. I say, yeah, I love myself, but I think sometimes I don't love myself unconditionally. I'm still judging, even though I say I'm loving, and I always struggle with that love. And it's probably from past experiences that, like parents, spanking you and stuff, or doing things to you, or I even did it to my kids because I love them. I caused them pain, which makes no sense, but it's sort of how we're raised, to think about pain, that it's functional. It's actually, and I'm still, and this brings it up here, but then the class last time about the unconditional love, because I don't think you can do unconditional love and do blame and judgment and the negative side of it. They can't coexist.
Correct.
It's impossible.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's exactly why we can be certain this works. That is the truth. It's like, if you have any uncertainty, you're still afraid, and that's okay. But it's like, we got to get to that place where we're like, it is unconditional. And
and that's where God is. And if we want to reach God, or we want to be in that world, we have to strive. But it's so almost foreign, to us, isn't it? It's just,
it is so foreign.
and I think that's why there's a lot of dog lovers in the world, because they know how to do it.
That's how the generations got taught.
I know.
Right?
We
So basically, most likely came from that pure place and then things can happen, or you can carry it into your next life. And it's traumas that get stuck in our bodies that we have to unlearn the things that we got taught,
Yeah.
that were taught because
Yeah.
of fear or
So we got to be kind with ourselves and go at our own pace, like you were telling Christina. You just got to go at your own pace because you didn't get this way overnight, and so you can't just go poof
there's many layers.
and live in unconditional love. wish it was that way, but that's not how it works. I don't think, at least not so far for me.
We really do wish it was that easy.
Yeah,
This curriculum says it is that easy, but we
I
are
know.
so
but-
twisted, you guys. And we live in a world like we are being told blue is correct and we live in a red world. So we're like blue and they're like red. Blue, and I'm not meaning political. Okay, so like purple world and green, like you're in a purple world and here's like somebody with a green sunglasses, and you really have to want to be holding on to green in a red world to see green. It has to be from you, coming from within. And it is possible with the help of love.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And this is saying we hold and share the Creator's love for us and the happiness and joy and abundance that the universe provides and wants for us. We share that, and it's not as far away as we think. We think because we're not experiencing it must be somewhere else, out there, somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think that these lessons are trying to tell us it's just one step at a time. We can do one step at a time, and that'll get us a little closer. Yeah.
And that feels good. Freedom to do it a little bit at a time.
Yes.
And nobody's telling you you're bad or guilty for not doing it yet. And you're just held in gentleness when you say, I'm still hurting. We can honor that and say, we understand that's something we've done too, and we've been hurt before. So you're not different than us. If you're in pain right now, if you're suffering, we're not going to judge it, right? That's the example and demonstration, is free people to be as sad and as hurt as they need to be so they can turn it around. Because if we keep saving them and rescuing them, they're not going to want to change it or heal it, because more people are playing into the illusion for them, with them. And it's like, no, play in the truth, not in the illusion. You can be here and see the same thing everybody else is seeing, but applying a loving lens and a loving meaning on it, as in, God knows, we don't know. This whole thing looks like a disaster and it's a mess. And according to a lot of people, God's failing because God's letting us have free will to destroy ourselves. So it's like, is that God's fault? It's like, God's like, it's okay if you destroy your whole planet and all of you guys on it. I will create. There will be another creation and another density and another place to, it says, condense into time and space. That's what we do, is we go from a spiritual vapor into form, density. And this is not the only universe. It is sacred, and I do believe in conservation and loving our mama planet Earth. That's me, but I can't change anybody else.
Yeah.
Well, I love my Mother Earth, but I'm also not going to lose my peace because McDonald's and Starbucks and Walmart and everybody are still using plastic straws. Something like that, So, does anybody have any questions about this lesson? Any questions about the lesson? Dottie, thank you so much for contributing. Your contribution is so good. Always. And Kayla, thank you. Whew, what are we hearing and what kind of a weird cult is this? This is not a cult, I swear. It's the most loving curriculum that our egos are going to want to make a story about it and make it bad or wrong or hard or not right or not possible. All these different stories. Maggie, what's up, sister?
Oh, hi, Carolyn. I just took notes because I was thinking when you were asking if anyone has a question, and I thought, well, I don't know if I really have a question because I was just trying to process and I don't even remember everything we were just saying. So that's where Dory comes in. But some of the notes I took, I liked where you are home and are safe and no fear and happiness. And then the only thing I got after that was salvation. I didn't, because I'm never able to get everything. That's why it's I just, get what I can remember, because I'm a notes person, but sometimes it's hard when I wanted to get more. But I'm just like, okay, sometimes I try to listen first before I just jump. And I like that pain is purposeless without power, and no pain, no power to accomplish anything. Think it has to offer, lacking in existence, like pain itself. But I feel like I guess at times for me there's purpose because I'm freeing something, and and feelings can feel good. Like I can cry when I'm happy, and I am in love with someone, and so it's like I'll cry having those feelings and trying to like think about the future, because we don't have any kind of labeled relationship. But it's like anytime I have like something new come up, I'm trying to process. Or when I've been in love with someone, it's like there's all these emotions. But it's nice when I was able to share that, then he's able to share that. And without like guessing in your head of, oh, am I going too fast, or was this person thinking that we were able to communicate? It's like, hey, that's good when you're not always, if you're going to stay in your head, because you can assume somebody knows what you're thinking, but they don't. And then I like you have been slave to nothing, happy loving will of our creator. I think this is all. And then I like the first one, the God's love is happiness for me. And then you mentioned the other part, which I don't have down exactly, but I have suffering buys you something and gets me what I want. Yeah, because it's like for me and a lot of people, I punish myself. So it's like, I've got OCD. So when I've done any kind of like trying to expose or tell myself, look, you're facing this when you come across it, but there's a healthier way to do it with slower exposure, not like having something go all at once. It's like breaking it down if you can, and knowing when to say no to something. So it's yeah, good notes.
Thank you so much, Maggie. I am always so glad that Maggie shares so authentically, because I want you guys to know that it's very hard to take notes in a class that is of the heart and not of the mind. This is hard for your mind to grasp because it's supposed to go straight to the heart, and you're innocent, perfectly innocent. What you capture on paper, that's what you need to remember, not what you didn't capture. So
Yeah.
you're providing such a beautiful demonstration, and I appreciate you sharing.
Oh, thanks, Carolyn. Yeah, it's very powerful. So that's why it's like I want to make sure certain things that I get, or when I do have the book and follow along, I've been just listening lately because I have the book and I haven't dove into it as much as I'd like to. And I told Kayla, if you ever want to like read from it, talk about, since I'm newer to having the book, so I haven't as much as everybody else has, but hopefully over time I'll become more advanced with it.
Oh, girl, when you guys start joining, that's when, joining is what helps you hear it. So if you're having a hard time picking up the book to read it on your own, that's why there's classes like this. That's why you have reading partners. So she's making a very good point. She owns the book, and it's not easy to just pull out and use or read, even though we know it's good, we know it's loving, but it's like an ego trip. So it's a fabulous idea to join with somebody and share reading. By all means, you will propel your light will turn up so bright and so quickly when you join. Awesome idea. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? It's wild. We just heard some good news stuff. And who wants to choose to seek happiness with me? Because that's what it's saying. It's saying, choose to seek happiness in your mind. You have it there. It's there. Stop focusing on the fear. Yeah, we're going to choose happiness. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we got the celebrations happening. And if we're not feeling happy at the moment, let's be willing to be wrong about what we're thinking. Like, if I'm that upset and I'm that miserable, I do want to be wrong. People showed up, so you're having a hard time share. It's okay, Luna. You know what? That is how this goes. I'm going to create a similar thing happening where we're not going to be publishing it on YouTube. We're not going to record it and publish it. I'm going to create a space where we can all join and share together, where it's not going to be online and posted. It'll be more like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and we'll join and in a way that's more private and safe feeling. But as far as being here and hearing it, listening tonight, that's perfect. It's perfect. You're coming in guided, perfect timing, with the perfect people. Everything is perfect. So I appreciate you joining me tonight. I am gonna wrap it up a little early. Yeah. It's okay not to share too. Yeah. So good to listen. And maybe even think about one thing you heard tonight that you could take with you that is different, but you liked it. It turned something on, like, hey, that feels good. That idea feels good. Like, my happiness is my function in the world. Guys, this is not bad news. We should be jumping up and down. We're not, because we're not completely happy. That's why. And so that's also good news. That means we have somewhere to go, and it's better than where we are now. It's hard to stay where you are anyway. The good news is you're going to keep moving forward. It's going to get better because you're using your mind consciously. You brought yourself here to plant new seeds into your garden mind so that maybe you could have a little different fruit in a few weeks, months, whenever it blossoms and blooms. For now, we've got 2 of these a week. 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You can join, drop in for free anytime. For now, I think in March, at the end of March, we have a new link. I'm going to build us out a new link so we have a safe space that's online. And maybe right around the end of March is when I'll start releasing the new class dates that are going to be more private, closed, and a little different. Just a little different. I'm going to evolve my sharing so we can do more, learn more, remember more. People can drop into these classes if they want to dabble. Maybe we can go deeper in the other classes and get more connected, more love, more remembering. And for now, go forth in peace. May the course be with you and have a wonderful evening. Oh, I would love that. How fun. Enjoy, you guys. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Bye, Luna. Good to meet you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Well done. Well done. Well done, everybody.